Hey guys, Bargain Bin Steve Jobs here. Today I'm going to tell you about the 5 things that I wish I knew before I became a blockchain developer. So the first thing I want to talk about today is that how blockchain development work is extremely difficult. And if you were thinking that this was going to be a cakewalk and that you'd get to do something that you love every day, which you very well might, it's definitely going to be challenging. And so if you enjoy a good challenge and you like to learn new things every day and continue to push yourself as a developer, then this is really a career field for you. And if not, then you might want to reconsider, because right now the blockchain development space is so fresh and really saturated with like different types of products that use completely different technical stacks and all sorts of one-off solutions that may or may not, contribute what you're looking for to your tech stack. And so there's a lot of things that you're going to have to learn, and it's not going to be easy. And so if you're prepared for that, then you can really make a name for yourself and you can make a killing in this space, even in the middle of a bear market. So as long as you're prepared for working hard and potentially working long hours in order to get accomplished what you need to get done, then you're going to do great and you're going to thrive in this space. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is how there are not a whole lot of examples or docs. And this kind of ties into our prior point about how this is very new. So because the blockchain development experience is so new, there's not a whole lot of documentation, and the docs that do exist are iffy at best, especially for certain chains and newer products or layer 2 solutions that have just been implemented. So you're going to have a hard time kind of figuring out what you need to do unless you are willing to reach out to the developers on Discord, which I find myself doing quite a bit, or getting in contact with them in other ways, or being very knowledgeable about what your topic is beforehand, which odds are, if you're watching this video, you may not be as knowledgeable as you'd like to be, right? And so that's okay. We're trying to learn, but if you are going to be trying to get into this space and break in and create a niche for yourself, then you need to understand that you're going to have to do a bit of the legwork as far as figuring out these examples and making them fit to what you're trying to do. And so the documentation is not going to be great pretty well across the board. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, you're going to have to be able to extrapolate and reach out to figure out what's going on. And in some cases, they might just be completely wrong. So if that's the case, you're really in trouble. But I've definitely racked my brain for many a day trying to figure out something when the documentation said it was one way, but the actual implementation was another. So be ready for some of those challenges. And you may have experienced some of those already in your day-to-day dev life. So for some of you, that may not be so different. But just know going in that the docs are going to be a little frustrating at times. So the next point I want to talk about is the user experience problem. And so this is something that I've brought up in prior videos, but for me, this has really been a main point of contention and something that I've tried to work long hours to figure out for our user base. But essentially, the problem on Ethereum specifically is that we have all of these different layer 2 solutions that need to be integrated with, that are essentially separate blockchains. They just build off of the security of base layer 1 Ethereum. And they all have different APIs, different interactions, and essentially a walled garden in which the user's funds are stored. And so you have to be able to figure out new and effective ways to communicate to the user where their funds are at any specific time, what interactions they can do when they're on a specific layer 2, and then how to get those funds from one layer 2 to another, or from one layer 2 to a layer 1 exchange, so that they can get their funds offboarded and back into fiat currency. And those are not easy problems to solve for, unfortunately, and they are honestly probably going to be some of the most difficult user experience challenges to date. I think that this, and making crypto, especially the Ethereum layer 1 and layer 2 ecosystems, easy for end users to understand, is going to be very difficult, because I've been completely immersed in this culture for 2 years and I still barely understand them to the point in which I'm proficient to code in them, right? And so if I have hard times explaining it to people around me, then that means that the people who have next to no knowledge of Ethereum and are just trying to get into this ecosystem are going to be in very, very rough waters, right? And so we need to make sure that as a community, we are able to come together and solve for these UX decisions. And so if you're coming into this as a new dev and you're trying to work with some of these layer 2 solutions, which odds are you probably are, because a lot of the future of Ethereum is wrapped up in these new layer 2s. So you're going to have some interesting challenges to solve for that haven't necessarily had good solutions to date. And so that's something you need to be aware of as well, is that while there is potential for someone to break in and solve these user experience problems, they're incredibly challenging. And so you have to be, just like point one, you have to be ready for a challenge. So the next point that I want to talk about is that you're going to be working with some of the brightest minds in the space. And I really feel this on a day-to-day basis. I mean, some of the coworkers that I've worked with and continue to work with are just mind-blowingly intelligent, like some of the absolute smartest people I've ever worked with in my career. And that comes with some ego, right? And so there are going to be some pain points. Some people aren't going to get along very well. It will benefit you if you are an agreeable person and you're able to soak in the knowledge of those around you, even if you're not the smartest person in the room. That's okay. As long as you understand that and you're able to work around it, then you're going to do okay. But the opportunity for learning is very high. I've learned more in the past 2 years working in blockchain development than I have in basically the entirety of my time in college and the rest of my career, right? It's been an incredible experience and one that I wouldn't trade for anything, but it's been difficult. And sometimes there are some pain points with some of the people that I work with, but I'd say all in all, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And these guys have been just so much fun to work with and learn from. And I have learned so much about not only programming, but also about life and about development, and had some really fun experiences getting to meet these folks. And so just know that if you do decide to get into this space, take every opportunity you can to meet the folks that you're working with in person, if at all possible, and make sure that you go out of your way to learn from them and get some of their knowledge, because I feel like the brightest and best are concentrated in blockchain right now, because there are people who think that, this is a flash in the pan type of thing, but the people who believe it's the future are here for the long haul, and those are the people you want to stick around. Those are the people you want to learn from. The last point I want to talk about is how this is a completely all-consuming hobby, and this is a lifestyle, really, if I want to put it that way. For me especially, it has been. I've been completely consumed by blockchain development, by Web3 gaming, by smart contracts, and all the different NFTs and collections and everything I could get my hands on. When I came into GameStop, I knew next to nothing about Ethereum development or even NFTs. And I made it my mission to understand what was going on and be the most knowledgeable person on my team that could relate to this kind of thing. I wanted to completely immerse myself in it and understand as much as I possibly could. And now something that really came to bite me was that I couldn't understand everything, and I still don't understand everything. This space moves really fast, and if you're going to keep up with it, you need to be plugged in 24/7, which really just isn't possible. And so you need to understand that there are going to be things that you will not be able to comprehend, especially at first. This knowledge builds on itself as you work up. But there are just things that are going to go over your head, maybe news that you'll miss or things like that, because this space moves at the speed of light, and keeping up with it has been a great challenge for me, but also extremely fun and rewarding. It seems like every day there's a new thing that I can plug into and figure out some new solution or some new product that's been launched that I'm really interested in. And that's been so much fun and very exciting. And so if any of that interests you, I guarantee you that you'll be able to sink yourself fully into this space and become so immersed that you won't even want to leave. And honestly, that's where all of the crypto bro, like kind of like, oh, I can't stop talking about crypto kind of thing comes from, in my opinion, at least. Somehow I can shut it off, but if you ask me a question about it, I'm going to talk your ear off about it. And so I think that it's great, and there's just so much to learn, and it has been a privilege to wrap my head around this stuff and be able to communicate this effectively to my teammates and to other people and in my life. And I think that if this is a skill that even remotely interests you, then you definitely need to go for it. Just know that it's not going to be a cakewalk. You're going to have to really dedicate yourself to it, and that you may get some weird looks. Just follow your heart, do what you know is right, and make sure you don't get wrapped up in any kind of Ponzi scheme or anything like that. But if you really believe in this stuff and you think you can make it work, go for it. And I wish I would have known all of those things when I started, but man, I have come such a long way as a developer and as a person through this experience, and I just wanted to share it with all of you guys because I think it's really important. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you learned something. Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like or a comment below and I'll get back to you. But thank you guys so much, and I hope you had a great day. See you in the next one. Hey guys, Dollar Store Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation here.